I'm going to tell you a little something about this competition and about the Florida Federation of Music Clubs, because this is a subject that I do know a little something about because I was involved with it for a number of years. When this park was first formed for many years, and there are a few people in this audience today who remember, as you come through the entrance down here at South Gate on the left, probably up until the late 1960s, early 1970s, there was a beautiful old hotel named the Colonial Hotel that was situated just on the left as you came in, to the north of the entrance. Had 3 stories, and it was one of the old resort hotels that was built in 1912, and unfortunately it was torn down, but it was a beautiful, beautiful thing at its time. It had a very famous dining room. And in 1950, the Florida Federation, the National Federation of Music Clubs, had its national convention there. And Mrs. W.A. Saunders was a member of it, and people from all over the state came to it, and people from all over the nation. And there was a lady who's from Rhode Island, Mrs. A. Hoddings Miller, and they took her all around these grounds and had a look, and they said, you know, we'd like to have a musical festival here that, you know, help with Stephen Foster Memorial. That was what it was called, making Stephen Foster Memorial, a memorial to Stephen Foster. And so she suggested a Florida Folk Festival. That was the beginnings of the Florida Folk Festival. They brought Sarah Gertrude Knott, who was the foremost authority on the national folk festivals, down from West Virginia. She had been engaged by the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt during his administration to coordinate folk festivals, and she began that. But back to the Federation. When this property was first deeded over, it was deeded by about 3 or 4 families here in Quiet Springs to the Florida Federation of Music Clubs. The Federation held this property for probably 3 years before it was transferred over to the Stephen Foster Memorial Commission, which was an independent commission that answered only to the governor. It did not answer to any other Department of State. It was a commission that had its own board. The board met here in White Springs on a quarterly basis. It had its own officers, and it ran the show here until probably the mid-70s. And the Federation was a big influence. The Jeanne auditions and ball is the oldest special event that began here at the Florida, at the Stephen Foster Memorial. It was established by the Florida Federation as a scholarship program and as kind of to show off the museum, which was the first building that opened, the building with the columns in front of it. Opened in 1950. Governor Bullard Warren opened it. The building that we're in now was completed in 1958. And the Jeanne auditions was the very first one. So Jeanne is always 1 year older than the Florida Folk Festival. I think it was 64 years old this year. And as Pat said, in 2005, the Federation made a decision that they would include men as part of the scholarship program, so it became Jeanne and Stephen at that particular time. And it was a big decision. And I remember the year like it was yesterday. It was around 1968 or 69 when the first Hispanic girl won from Miami. Never forget her name as long as I live. Her name was Teresa Rivera. And I will never forget my father's sister said, because up until that time, let me tell you, the Federation was controlled by WASP. And my father's sister said, that's the end. I said, what do you mean, Aunt Jack? She said, well, honey, think about opera. She says, who are the people who have had opera for the years? She says, you know, I just have to say. She said, minorities in this nation, Latins, she says, minorities in general, there's just more passion. She says, an Italian woman may hate her mother, but when she dies, she screams. She says, you know, blacks, African Americans, You know, they put passion into what they do. She said, "Oh, wasp, mother may die," and it's like, who gets the shit? You know, she says, but flowers put more emotion into what they do. She said, so therefore, it's the beginning of the end, you know. And it really was, because from that time, we had a large number of wonderful, wonderful Hispanic winners from South Florida and from different places who won. And I think a lot of it has to do with emotion. A lot of it has to do with the emotion that comes about and musical training. At one time from Tampa, there was a little lady down there who was a vocal coach who everybody up here was as scared of as you would have been a cop gun in a drunk's hand. Those eyes were pulled out to there. There was no need to buy Black Rage dye because it was balled up. But you know, she was great. She had a lot of winners too. And these two are wonderful. We're going to introduce our Jeanne first, 2015 Sarah V. And let me tell you something about this competition. Sometimes people think it's, oh, this is a beauty talent, it's just a talent competition. Wrong. This competition is recognized by the American Society of American Composers, Authors, and Publishers as one of the foremost competitions of its time for the nation. I mean, you vie for this. You have to have vocal talent in order to win. You don't just sashay up and say, "Ooh, they look pretty good. They hold their head right and walk right. They've lost enough weight that they look great if you walk and run like you." That won't do it for you. Got to be more substance than that, and we're very proud of our Jeanne and Stephen. Sarah and Vivian, those who attend FSU, both are from Tampa. And then Gabrielle Hernandez, and also from Tampa, our Stephen. And they're both going to be performing for us. They're accompanied by Allison Carroll, who also is from FSU, Tallahassee. And they will be performing a number of Foster selections. At one time, whether that's still true or not, I haven't been in several years, I'm sorry to say, about 5 years. At one time, you had to perform one Foster selection and one selection by an American composer. And is that still true? Is it true still? And you were judged by a panel of out-of-state judges. And they decided whether you won or whether you didn't. But that was the way it happened. So you're very proud of it. It's a very prestigious. So our Jeanne for this year.